family suffers a loss that threatens their legacy. A pair of siblings go to extremes to take advantage of an opportunity that could end up killing them both or making them rich. Because...
You know I'm broke, right?
Now, how's that for an American story? This is ultimately the premise behind Nope, Jordan Peele's third and most recent film, a major departure from previous works like Get Out and Us. Now, if you're as old as I am, no, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. YouTuber never tells. Jordan Peele has been in a committed long-term relationship with comedy writing, dating all the way back to the days of Mad TV, and extending out to more recent work like Key and Peele and films like Keanu. But in recent years, Peele has been dabbling, trying his hand at the dark alchemy that is horror and science fiction. He's had his name tied to credits of works like The Twilight Zone and the aforementioned Get Out. Now, I'm always excited to see whatever Peele puts out next, to be completely honest, but I definitely got the sense that this film, Nope, was going to be different from the usual fare. Nope defies some of the rules of the genre while also paying homage to the classics in some interesting ways. But it also breaks from the conventions of storytelling we've grown used to getting from Peele, and that's what makes this one stand out for me. So this video will be sort of a defense in addition to an analysis. It's an explanation of why I think this film is good, even though some might say it's Peele's worst. This is why I felt like I needed to talk about this film. So let's do that. Welcome to the Nautilus Files. In this video, I'm going to give my fully unqualified, unvarnished, and unrequested character analysis of the two main protagonists of Nope, OJ and Emerald Haywood. And of course, as you might have guessed, this is a spoiler-rich environment. If you don't want this story spoiled for you because you haven't seen it yet, now would be a good time to save this one for later. Or you can cover your ears and yell la 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 for the next 12 minutes. Your choice. I won't judge. Quick shout out to the patrons, these lovely people you see here. And a super special shout out to Ann T. Heroin. I made a bit of a boo-boo in my last video. I left your name off the list, probably due to lack of sleep. But your gracious response to that has been appreciated. Check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel in that way. Link is in the description. There's also the Discord for chatters who want to link up with other fans of the show. It's free and it's pretty chill if I say so myself. All right, now that we've got that stuff out of the way, time to dive. In Jordan Peele's Nope, a pair of siblings are reunited by the untimely death of their father. In the wake of his passing, these two siblings with very different personalities are left to pick up the pieces and figure out what comes next for each of them respectively. Everything is turned on its head when strange occurrences begin to take place and thrust our characters into a life and death struggle that they choose to take on because
I got mouths to feed.
this story seems to be asking these two characters to make up their minds about what matters most to them. OJ wants to hold on to his father's ranch, no matter what, come hell or high water. When the true nature of the strange events turns out to be unimaginable and horrific, OJ doesn't budge. He won't consider conceding an inch, and he immediately begins plans to fight back. Okay, maybe not fight back so much as get paid, which is one of the more interesting angles that this film takes, but I'll talk more about that later on in the video. You could call OJ stubborn, but I think that would be unfair when you think about all of what he'd be giving up. I read him as a guy that carries within himself a deep sense of duty and obligation, and in his mind, that duty is to carry on what his family worked so hard for generations to build. This is no doubt a source of pride for OJ, especially when you consider all of the obstacles his family must have faced along the way. M, on the other hand, as they say, has one foot out the door. M isn't anywhere near as bothered as her brother about upholding the family legacy, and this appears to be tied into a deep resentment she has for her father. We get a peek into her past when she's recalling the time her brother got to train a horse that was meant for her. It was supposed to be her very first, Jean Jacket, same name that they gave to the alien creature later on. No doubt this is a message to the audience that she still wants to fulfill that dream of breaking that beast, whether it be horse or alien. It seems like Pop's choice to give OJ the job was a huge deal for her, and it almost sounds like this was just one of many examples of the father preferring OJ over her and making her feel a little less loved. Either way, M seems like the type of kid that would just bounce the minute they turned 18 and never look back. It's no surprise that her intentions in the story didn't go beyond catching up with Big Bro and then back to that life she has elsewhere. M has one weakness though, a massive Achilles heel, in the form of her loyalty to her brother OJ. On various occasions, M had the opportunity to leave the whole situation behind her. She could have been in the wind, sparing herself the nightmare task of wrangling a sneaky giant flying alien killing machine. She struggles with the idea of leaving, but in the end, she stays with OJ to see things through. Now let's go back to the beginning of the film because I want to talk about the importance of the opening scene and how these characters are introduced in the story. Otis Johnson Haywood, better known as...
Yeah, Otis Jr.
Oh.
One half of the dynamic duo that makes up the Haywoods. Otis is the son of a horse rancher and has chosen to follow in his father's footsteps, continuing the family legacy of providing trained horses for Hollywood sets. OJ takes great pride in what he does, and it's obvious that this life means something to him. For OJ, this is not just a business. The Haywood family name is tied to film history. Otis's granddad, a horse jockey, was the very first person to ever appear in a moving picture. Peele is intentionally calling this out, countering the legacy of marginalization and more often just straight up erasing of black actors from film history, a fact that must resonate with Peele as a black pioneer of horror and sci-fi filmmaking at Hollywood's highest level. When we meet Otis, it's in one of two prologues. We watch Otis and his father talk shop at the ranch on what appears to be a completely normal day for the two. That confusing biblical quote we get at the beginning, Nahum, well, that suddenly starts to make sense as coins and other small metallic objects pelt the ground around them with enough projectile force to be deadly. A bewildered Otis stands there taking it in, but still not able to make heads or tails of it until he begins to understand. Okay, that's an effective hook. OJ's pops did not make it, and as far as he knows, his death was a freak accident, chalked up to debris falling out of an airplane. Grappling with grief and with bills to pay, OJ finds himself in charge of the ranch, which also means he has to take on the responsibility of being the on-site animal handler at the sets his father would work with. OJ is a decidedly different dude from his father, and he clearly does not enjoy this part of the job. I love this entire sequence of scenes because we learn so much about him even though he scarcely says a word, because when he does, he is what I would describe as economical. Peele puts us in his position, where we are seeing work on the set from his perspective, a blue-collar working man forced to rub shoulders with Hollywood elites and their entourage of lackeys. OJ works with horses on a ranch. A movie set is alien to him. His reaction to this room full of preoccupied people who don't respect him or the horse he rode in on. Sorry, I had to do it. OJ is in the middle of struggling through his introductory safety session when his sister, Emerald, shows up, saves him from what was looking like an absolute disaster. And she's a little late, and I'm gonna go ahead and assume that that's not too unusual. The beef cooks between these two, and it's palpable from the get-go. But the energy Keke Palmer, the actress that plays M, brings to this character helps bring those distinctions and personality differences into greater relief, and you begin to pick up on their chemistry right away. OJ and his sister have what you call a sibling rivalry vibe, but with a bit of frenemy on the side. Like most siblings in this situation, there's a lot of teasing and some fighting, but you can tell they love each other. This push and pull between them creates an interesting and believable dynamic that I think Peele does well to showcase. To be honest though, M steals every scene she's in. She even managed to take the spotlight during a scene that includes both Kaluuya and Steven Yeun, and that's saying a whole lot. For the record, I'll never forgive them for what they did to Glenn. M is witty, charming, and has the natural riz you would expect, making her an easy character to understand straight away. It's that overt tendency to say whatever is on her mind that sets her apart from her brother so well. OJ is going for that strong, silent type trope, something Kaluuya is pretty good at. Now that I think about it, he kind of plays a character like that in almost every film he's in. He's kind of like a Keanu Reeves, though this worked out well for the script because, in my opinion, the strong silent type demeanor made me pay more attention to what he had to say. When OJ says anything at all, it tends to carry weight. This dynamic propels the characters along the roller coaster that is Nope, acting like the complementary opposing charges, a yin and yang relationship. It's their opposite natures that make them so strong as a duo, and ultimately how they're able to defeat the monster and get the bag. OJ's unshakable courage to face down this predator in the sky and hold down the fort works to anchor their conviction, keeping these two and their cohort in the fight until the very end. It's M's quick thinking and off-the-cuff methods of responding to being pressed that lead to some of the most unexpected boons. Can't stress enough how crazy their plan was to catch this elusive alien on camera, but things work out because they stuck together. In Nope, I recognize a lot of the influences from older films of the genre immediately. Typically in this genre, the protags are either being hunted by an entity or a monster that appears to be impossible to beat, but they're able to survive the ordeal through teamwork, grit, and some dumb luck. Think Stranger Things as a more recent example of this. Nope does stand out as a little different when it comes to what the main characters want to accomplish though. Yeah, they want to survive, of course, but what they really want is that shot, the impossible shot. as they refer to it, to be the first people to capture a true life alien on camera, an act that would catapult these 4 people into a new tax bracket in a hot minute. This dangling carrot plays a large part in why they're so willing to stick their necks out instead of just walking away. OJ makes it clear that the ranch needs to keep the money coming in, and we see proof of his financial troubles when he's selling off his horses to Jupe, not realizing he's never going to be able to buy them back because Jupe is serving up those horses like 2,000-pound Lunchables just so he can coax a sky shark to come down and wow the crowds at his amusement park. The struggle is real for OJ, and struggles for day-to-day needs and bills and things like that can push completely normal folks to the crazy, and I appreciated that he added this layer to it because it only adds to the relatability of the characters involved. In conclusion, what is my real assessment of this film? Peele went into this project with the goal of creating a summer blockbuster alien encounter reminiscent of the 80s and 90s films some of us grew up with. A film in the same vein as Jaws or Alien, which really isn't surprising given his admitted admiration for Steven Spielberg. The emphasis here is on fun. Peele wants us to take in the visceral experience of being hunted by a giant alien in a barren gulch. He wants us to know what it feels like to be watched constantly and never know when the next attack is going to come. This film was never meant to be received like his previous envelope-pushing endeavors. Nope echoes the best parts of the genre while weaving in some of Peele's own potent mixture of horror, science fiction, and dark comedy. He's quoted as saying, "I wrote it in a time when we were a little bit worried about the future of cinema. So the first thing I knew is I wanted to create a spectacle, the great American UFO story." I think the expectation was that we would be getting another film just like Get Out and Us. These were carefully layered and nuanced films, with Us asking more of the audience than its predecessor, but both are still fully qualified as movies that break the rules a bit and make you think. I think for a lot of the people who were turned off by this one, it may have felt like there was a sort of bait and switch. This wasn't the film they were expecting to get from Peele. I can somewhat understand that, especially from the perspective of someone who has seen all of his previous works. To Peele's credit, he's become adept at subverting the genre and bending it to his will. He's able to harness the potency of horror and comedy in just the right measure so as to tell the story of an alien encounter / horror film that still also manages to speak to the everyday struggle of simply existing, not something you usually see in these spaces. Get Out does this better than any of his other films so far. I can see how some people might have gone to the theater expecting more of that same energy and felt let down. That said, Nope is fully capable and stands up to the scrutiny in my opinion. I measure a film by asking myself, did it do what it set out to do? Did it accomplish its goal? And to me, the answer to that is thanks for watching this video, and especially the real ones that made it to the end. The channel just hit 5,000, which feels incredible to me. I can't thank you guys enough for giving me every reason to keep going. One of these days, I'm gonna be able to post more frequently, maybe even weekly. Dare to dream. But until then, thanks for being patient with my schedule. Props to the patrons as always, much love, and thanks for your continued support. For my Black Mirror heads, keep them peeled. I've got something in the works, and as well as you Severance fans, it never ends. Oh, and I'll be making shorter analysis films like this one, reviews and things of that sort, so look for that too. Anyway, that's it for now. Stay safe out there. Until next time, off you go.